Good afternoon. Welcome to the Chabad of Melbourne lecture with Rabbi Meir Shlomo Kluwgant. Rabbi Kluwgant is the Vice Chair of ORA, Organization of Rabbis of Australasia, and the head of the subcommittee of the New Kosher Committee, Vice President of the Rabbinical Council of Victoria, Immediate Past President, and the Rabbi of Jewish Care, Victoria. Rabbi Kluwgant today will address the challenges for Kashrut in Australia. And Rabbi Kluwgant.
Thanks, Lane. Okay, I've got till 1:15, from what I understand. So I'll just, I know most of you here. Just Adam Solomon. I know you. And hopefully there'll be time for us throughout the ages. So the fish obviously we know the story. We know the story of the fish. But in the Torah itself, it just simply says he shall slaughter as I commanded you. And we learned that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Moshe Rabbeinu all of the laws Baal Peh. They were discussed on Har Sinai, all of the laws with regards to what is a kosher shechita. And that's codified later on through the Rishonim, the Achronim, Shulchan Aruch, and in the modern day responsa as to the reality of what the halachas of shechita are. Now, if I take you back to Nazi Germany, one of the very first claims against the Jewish people, before it actually rose to power, was cruelty to animals. Forget about how they treated human beings. That we were cruel to animals, in that we are required that the animal be in cognitive and in full health at the time that we are going to shechita. So whilst the world and the modern day they shoot the animals in the head with a captive bolt before the shechita, that would make the animal unfit for shechita. There's two basic ways they do this. One of them is by stunning the animal. For example, lambs are generally stunned with electrodes before electronic devices before the shechita, before it's killed, and the beef has a captive bolt that goes through the brain. Now, for some reason, and there's been scientific evidence to disprove this, but the perception is, and they say, look, if abattoirs were made in glass houses, nobody would eat meat. There is a very strong movement of people who are animal welfare. They believe in animal welfare, and they're very strong proponents of that, and they challenge the shechita, saying it's cruel to animals. And therefore what they require is that the captive bolt be applied before. Now, I'm aware of a lot of the halal slaughtermen who actually are prepared to accept, I mean it's varying different levels, but they're ready to accept meat as halal even if it's being stunned beforehand. We obviously would never accept that. Nowhere in the world would you find anyone who would accept for kosher consumption an animal that has been shot in the head or electrocuted before it's been shepherded. So there is one country in the world which is completely banned shechita, which is in Switzerland, and they have to import their meat. Sweden. They import their meat. New Zealand has now come on board as well. And what they have said is they will allow you to import meat. You can't import chickens or poultry into New Zealand because of their strict laws around diseases and things. But you can import kosher meat or meat that's been slaughtered by halacha. But now you can no longer chef an animal without stunning it or without applying a captive bolt first. Now the question is with regards to shechita itself, how do you measure the pain the animal is going through at the time that you shechita? And I will tell you, there's no such thing as a painless way of taking life at the end of the day. There is a measure of, and that's life is precious, and obviously taking life of something is never going to be a pleasant thing. Even though if you look at the Greek origin of the word euthanasia, the meaning of pleasant death, if you look at the origins of it, there's no such thing as pleasant when it comes to death. And in fact, a shechita has to be somebody who doesn't take pride in taking life from something. If you would see somebody who's cruel and likes to take life and enjoys that, then they might be thinking about getting another job. So the issue around shechita is how do you measure the pain? Now, an uncle of mine who's a professor told me that he's never had a cow or a chicken or a dog or any animal express to them after the fact what kind of pain they experience. We tend to look at these animals and measure the way that they react to an external stimuli and how we would react, and that's how we apply it. I will tell you that there was a few years ago a situation where there was around the boardrooms they were telling stories about shechita. Now, not too many people have seen actual shechita itself. They've heard rumors about it, they've read about it, they've heard about it, they haven't actually seen it. And what was going on behind in the boardrooms, people were saying nasty things about shechita. Nobody really knew what it was, but they were saying these things. In fact, there was somebody, even years before that, somebody came to watch and observe the shechita, and there was an alte yid, an old fellow who came to the shechita as a mashgiach, and he had a tehillim, and he was saying tehillim while he was waiting. And the way it was reported was there's a man standing around with a beard singing songs while they're killing the animals. That's the way it was reported. And he was saying tehillim while he was waiting for something to do. The reality was that there was we were visited at the abattoir by an inspector who said that this is not appropriate and they were going to make a whole problem. At the end of the day, what happened was the chief executive officer of the Victorian Meat Association came down to the shechita on a predetermined date, which happened to be Purim, and he was actually quite angry because I'd gone down there specifically to demonstrate shechita for him so he would see what it was. He was quite angry, and he said to me, if you have caused any pain to this animal, I'm going to close the whole shechita down. Now, what I've heard goes on over here is terrible. And I remember Rabbi Groner's Ukraine Labrosov, I was working under his hashgacha at the time, and I went there. And he sort of came up to watch the shechita, and he stood over, and he started screaming at me. So I was saying, get on with it. So I said to him, I finished already. And he was standing behind to see if there was any kind of reaction from this beast at the time of shechita. With a knife as sharp as it was, and the way it was restrained, there was no reaction. Zero. He didn't respond. And before he had a chance to respond, it was already shut. He was amazing. He followed me back to my room, and he sat down with me, and I showed him Shulchan Aruch, and I showed him the knives, and I explained to him, the qualifications that you need to have in order to be a shechita. And he was miffed. He said at the end of it that if there's anybody who ever speaks out against shechita, and he hears it around the boardroom, he's going to openly say that he has seen it, and that he's thoroughly impressed. Thoroughly impressed. So, all you need to do is take a look at what's happening now, for example, with the flotilla. The way the world reacts and responds to situations that occur that have to do with Israel and the Jewish people. To see the immediate reaction is one of condemnation. It's terrible. They're the persecutors. They're the ones who are doing all these things. They shot the people. Irrespective of the video that shows you people hitting with iron poles and things. So the reality is the world will turn and look at us and say that we're proposing cruelty. We're inflicting cruelty to animals. In more recent times, I actually I was invited by the RSPCA to make a presentation on shechita, and they had inspectors and executive officers nationally and also from state bodies. Over 85 people attended that presentation. And I began the presentation by saying to them, has anybody here actually seen shechita before I begin? And I was expecting there to be nobody to put up their hand. And there were 3 inspectors in the back who put up their hand, and I said, yes, we have seen it. So I said, very good. So if I say anything that's not right, I want you to stand up and correct me, because you've been there. And they were silent the entire time. And at the end we agreed to disagree. When I say agree to disagree, there is a certain vantage point that animal welfare people come from. And the reality is the pain that's inflicted on animals in transport. And what I said to the RSPCA is that until I get this bird or this animal I only have them for 4 or 5 seconds. Not even that. In total, that's how much time I spend. Probably even a fraction of that. It's getting them to me. That's your transport. In the way that they're grown, in the way that they're treated, in the way that they're brought. That is where your concern really should lie, and not with the shechita itself, which is God's, and of course our understanding is of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who commands us to be kind to our animals and to our beasts. And He gives us these rules, then obviously we accept it as being